Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to the Jobless Bum YouTube channel. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Today, we're going to be doing a fast food tier list. We're going to be ranking fast food restaurants from S to D, in my opinion, of course, and we're going to see which ones are the best. Anyway, let's get right into it. First restaurant we're going to be ranking is A&W, and I'm going to put it in C tier. A&W is kind of a interesting restaurant in that there's not a lot of them around, and I have somewhat mixed memories on A&W. I really remember liking the hot dogs a lot, but I haven't had them since I was a kid, but it doesn't seem like a place that's very high quality just based on like reviews from other people that I've experienced. So I think my ranking of them highly in my mind may just be due to my childhood naivety. I feel like it's a D restaurant, but because I have good memories of it, I'll put it in C tier. Next up, we have Arby's, and this is perhaps going to be one of the more controversial placements in this list. I'm a big fan of Arby's. I'm going to put them in the A tier. I don't think they're necessarily a S tier restaurant, but a lot of people have been hating a lot on Arby's, and I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of like their signature dish, the roast beef sandwich. I'm not a big fan of that. But where they shine is their side options and their other options rather than what they're mainly known for, because they have like sliders, which are very good. They have, and like mini sandwiches that are very good. They have the best fries. They have like spicy curly fries, or at least they're like seasoned, right? They have insanely good mozzarella sticks. Their chicken nuggets are good. Potato cakes, or whatever they call them, they're like hash browns. Those are pretty good. And they got really good like cookies and stuff. So I'm a big fan of Arby's, but not for their main dish. So I'm gonna put them in the A tier. Baja Fresh, never had. Blimpie, never had. Bojangles, I've never had as well. Next up, we do have Boston Market. The best way I can describe Boston Market is traditional food that takes 12 hours to prepare, but they make it in 20 minutes. So it's not very good. But you always feel good when you go to Boston Market because like, it doesn't seem like fast food because, you know, they got like mashed potatoes, they got corn, you know, they got like turkey, they got hand-carved chicken, right? So it feels like you're eating a meal, right? It doesn't feel like you're eating fast food, but it's still garbage because it is fast food, and it doesn't taste very good because all of this food isn't meant to be made in, 20 minutes or however long, fast food takes to make. So I don't think it's very good. Boston Market is a D tier restaurant for me. All right, next up, we do have Burger King, and I have previously made a fast food tier list with Ponzo Live, who's another great creator. You should definitely go check him out. I'll link that fast food tier list in the description of the video in case you want to see that version of the list. But in that version of the list, I believe I had talked highly of Burger King, and that was about 2 years ago when we made that list. And I gotta say, I take back everything that I said about Burger King. For some reason, at least from my personal experience, Burger King has taken a huge nosedive down the quality in the past 2 years. I used to love their chicken nuggets. They're a good deal. You get 10 for like $1.49. So it was a really good deal. But their chicken nuggets aren't inedible now. The burgers were never good. Frankly, the only thing that's positive about Burger King nowadays is their fries, which are still very good in comparison to other fast food restaurant fries. I'm going to rank Burger King in the C tier. It used to be like an A or a B restaurant for me, but in the past couple of years, they've definitely fallen down the ranks in my book. All right, next up, we do have Raising Cane's, which will be the first entrant into our S tier. I love Cane's. The thing about Cane's is they know what they're doing. They have a formula, it's tried and true, and they're not going to deviate from it. I was having a conversation with someone very recently about Cane's, and they were like, Jobless, why do you like Cane's so much? They only serve chicken. They don't have anything else. And it's like, yeah, exactly. I love Cane's because I love the chicken. If Cane's was making other food, that would just not be Cane's worthy. why does Cane's need to make a burger if they already like are going bonanzas on the chicken? The chicken is very good. The sauce is amazing. The fries are very meh. The toast is good. So I got nothing but like positives to say about Cane's. Cane's is definite S tier for me. I've never had Carl's Jr., so I believe Checkers is the same thing as Rally's, which I have had Rally's before. So I'm going to go off of that. Checkers is definite B tier for me. Checkers is known for being very cheap, at least back in the day. I can't say like with full certainty because I haven't had Checkers or Rally's in like at least 7 years. But from what I remember, they were very cheap and the food was what you would expect for like everything being $1 or like very cheap at the restaurant. Like it was edible, but it was cheap, so you could get a lot of food. And the one thing that I remember from eating at Checkers is that the next day after I ate at Checkers, I had literally like, I felt very sick afterwards. But in terms of the food quality, it was below average, but it was so cheap that I feel like I had to put it in B tier. Next up, we do have Chick-Fil-A. Now, Chick-Fil-A is going to be a A-tier restaurant for me. A lot of people say that Chick-Fil-A is on the same caliber as Cane's. And what I will say about Chick-Fil-A is that I think Chick-Fil-A is probably a rung below Cane's. And it's just as expensive. And the portions are smaller, so you're getting ripped off on the price front. And also the portions front, and the food isn't as good as Cane's. It's still very good chicken. Like I'm not gonna not go to Chick-fil-A, but they got good food. It's not great, but it's pretty expensive. The sauce is really good. The Chick-fil-A sauce is very good, but I can't justify putting it in an S tier when it's a notch below Cane's, and on a pound for pound basis is more expensive than Cane's. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. Chipotle, I'm not really a big fan of them, but I think it's just because I don't like a lot of what they have, like Mexican food. I don't like a lot of what Chipotle has to offer, so I feel like I can't really give a good representation of their quality. So I'm going to put them in the never had. Churches, I've never had. Cookout, I've never had. Culvers. If you've never had Culvers before, it is supremely good. What they're known for is probably the most American thing you could think of, is the butter burger, where basically, in some way, they either put butter in the burger or I think they may put it on the bun, but they're known for the butter burger. It's very good. It's very over the top in terms of, decadence, excess, but it is very good. And they also have very good shakes and ice cream. And they're from Wisconsin, so they're pretty American. So I love Culver's. I'm going to put Culver's in the S tier. Del Taco, I've never had. Next up, we have Denny'S. And Denny'S is very meh quality food. There's another restaurant very much like it. I don't think... it is on the list. But I'd say Denny'S and Waffle House are kind of pretty similar. I'd say Denny'S is a worse version of Waffle House. So I guess I'll rank Waffle House at the same time. I'd say Denny'S is probably a B tier. In terms of the availability, I believe Denny'S was open 24 hours. At least the one that I have the most experience with, which was at the University of Dayton. It was open 24 hours. So I remember many a night I would get very drunk and then go to Denny'S at like 3 o'clock in the morning and have a nice breakfast. So I think that may color my opinion of Denny'S, but it's pretty good quality food for the price, and it's very cheap as well, Denny'S. But it's breakfast food, so that's pretty cheap to make. And I will rank Waffle House at the same time. Now, Waffle House, I'm going to say it. Waffle House is an S tier restaurant. For this reason, it's just got the vibes. The menu looks like you're reading like a newspaper classified ad on one page, and it's laminated, and you just get good vibes when you're reading the menu. And the restaurant is all open, so you can see people like making your food, and you can talk to the people cooking your food. And it's got a nice southern charm. Waffle House, I believe, started in the South. And Waffle House is also open 24 hours and very cheap. So Waffle House, definite S-tier restaurant for me. And you get a lot of food when you go to Waffle House as well. And I've definitely had some experiences at 3 a.m. at a Waffle House, just like I have at Denny's. I also just realized that I was not showing the top of the tier list, so there you go. You can see the Waffle House now. Next up on the list, we have Domino's. Most of America, Domino's Pizza is not open 24 hours. However, at the University of Dayton, where I went to college, Domino's was open 24 hours. And I've had many an experience at Domino's while I was at Dayton, getting a pizza at like 5 a.m. And honestly, Domino's for me is an S tier restaurant. I love Domino's. I think the pizza is all right. I love the pan pizza from Domino's. The cheesy bread is probably the best cheesy bread out of any pizza restaurant. The thing with Domino's is if you really like garlic, then Domino's is your restaurant because they put a shit ton of garlic on literally everything. So I love Domino's. And yeah, I have a lot of good memories with Domino's. So I'll put Domino's in the S tier. But yeah, next up we'll have Dairy Queen. And Dairy Queen, I almost want to give it 2 rankings because Dairy Queen, the ice cream restaurant, which is what they're more known for, is a definite S tier for me. They have what is known as the Blizzard, but they have basically a ice cream shake. And I don't know how they mix it, but they mix it in a way where when the employee gives you your shake, they put it upside down and it does not all fall out, which is pretty amazing. That's how thick the milkshake is. So they got very good ice cream, very good milkshakes, but their food is awful. Like, I hate their food. I'm not a big fan of the food, so it's probably S tier ice cream, D tier food, which averages out to a B ranking. Next up, we have Polo Loco. I've never had this one. All right, next up, we have Firehouse Subs, which is probably one of the worst restaurants I've ever been to. And maybe this is just me, but there's always this weird aftertaste. And I never really understood why. There's this weird taste when you have a Firehouse Sub that's different to any other sub. And I think I know the answer. Because with every Firehouse Sub, they give you a pickle with it. I think they put pickle juice in the subs. Or they put some sort of pickle flavor into the subs, which is not good. And I think that's the weird aftertaste that I always taste. I'm not a big pickle fan, so I don't appreciate Firehouse Subs putting that pickle flavor into the subs. So I'm not a big fan of Firehouse Subs. But it took me 3 or 4 trips to the restaurant to really realize that something was off. Because I would have a sub and I'd be like, oh, this tastes kind of weird. Maybe that was just a one-off occurrence. And then I went back and it was the same thing. And I was like, okay, maybe 2 times, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 3 times, I was like, okay, this something is off. Now, I can appreciate the message where Firehouse Subs was started by firemen. And I believe they donate a portion of their profits to firefighting unions. But I just don't think it's very good. So it's going to be in D tier for me. I'm going to chuck the ones that I have not had into the never had tier right now. And then we'll approach it from there. Okay, in case you didn't see, these are all of the restaurants that I did not have. If you want to take a mental note of that as we move forward with the list. Those are the ones that I've never had. Next up, we have Five Guys, which I'm going to put in the S tier. Five Guys is a very high quality restaurant. It's probably got the best quality out of all of the restaurants on this list that I have had before. But it is very expensive, but this is one of the few occasions where I'll say it's worth the money. Now, and I think this is because all of the food is made to order. It's not a lot of these restaurants where they've already pre-made all of the food. Five Guys, you order something and then they start making it. Whereas a lot of restaurants aren't like that. So I really like Five Guys. It is pretty expensive, but I think it's worthy of being in S tier. Next up, we have IHOP. IHOP is a breakfast chain. IHOP is short for International House of Pancakes. So they have a bunch of different pancake options. They got literally anything you could think of. They have blueberry pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes. They got at least 20 different kinds of pancakes. They got 7 different kinds of syrup to put on your pancakes. And then they also have more traditional breakfast foods as well. And I think they have a dinner menu as well. The dinner options I don't think are very good. The other breakfast food is all right, but the pancakes are really good. So I think that's a solid B tier for me. But next up we have Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's is just a standard sub restaurant. I think they got good quality subs. It's probably on the same tier, maybe a little bit better than Subway. I'll say it's like right on the line of being a B or a C tier for me. I'll put it in B tier. I'll say Jersey Mike's is probably a little bit better than Subway, so I'll put Jersey Mike's in B tier, and then I'll put Subway in C tier. But they're pretty similar to me, but I think Jersey Mike's is just a little bit better. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. All right, next up we have Jimmy John's, and Jimmy John's is known for the fact they are freaky fast. I've had a fair amount of Jimmy John's because Jimmy John's was present on the University of Dayton campus, and usually, I'm not kidding you, it'd take like 15 minutes for them to deliver, which is insane. They have people on like bikes like delivering stuff. So in terms of like a densely populated area, Jimmy John's is king. If you're in like a more sparsely populated area, like just like not like an urban area or like a college campus, I'd imagine it's probably not as good. But it's also like just basic subs. Like the food quality is like definitely lower than Subway. But in terms of a convenience, I'd say Jimmy John's is probably a C tier restaurant. Just based on convenience though, it's going into B. All right, next up we do have KFC. KFC for me, I like KFC a lot. In terms of their like actual chicken, I think their chicken is pretty good. The mac and cheese is pretty good. But KFC logistically is kind of a nightmare just because it's like sometimes you don't want to eat like a whole chicken, you don't want to get a whole bucket, but it also doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's just a weird thing that I have, but it doesn't make sense to get like a piece of chicken. So ultimately I think KFC is probably like a B tier restaurant. It's pretty solid, but again, if I'm getting chicken, I think I'd rather have Cane's or Chick-Fil-A, or I'll just do it now. Popeyes is an S tier restaurant. Very spicy chicken. I like Popeyes a lot. The breading is so much different than other chicken restaurants. It's just very crunchy. The chicken is juicy. I'm a big fan of Popeyes. They got like Cajun fries, which are like seasoned fries, kind of similar to Arby's, but I'd say the fries are probably better than Arby's. And you get a biscuit with like a combo meal, which is very good as well. So I'm a big fan of Popeyes, but like I said, if I was going to get chicken, I would much rather have Chick-fil-A, Cane's, or Popeyes before I even think of KFC. All right, next up we have Little Caesars, and this one may be a little bit controversial. I'm gonna do it. Little Caesars is an S tier restaurant for me. Now, the thing with Little Caesars is that it is very cheap. It is $5 for a pizza, which is unheard of. It's a big pizza too. So literally for $5, you could get a meal for 2 or 3 days, or for 2 or 3 meals. They have very good crazy bread as well, which is like their bread. I really like it. It's like butter, and then they put like some sort of like, I think it's like Parmesan cheese on it as well. So I really like the crazy bread. They're always coming up with new pizzas and styles as well. Like they have like a deep dish pizza. They got like calzones. So they're innovative, but it's all still very cheap. And I'm a big fan. I really like Little Caesars. So Little Caesars is an S tier for me. All right, next up, we do have Quiznos. Now, I don't know if Quiznos is still a thing. I thought they went bankrupt. Quiznos, I have not had in a long time, but I do remember it being like very meh. I'd say it's a C tier. It's kind of hard because like their whole thing is they have toasted subs, and it's like you can get a toasted sub at Subway. So that's not really that much of a differentiation. And I don't think that Quiznos is like enough of like a quality upgrade over Subway to seek it out when Subway is literally the most prevalent restaurant in America. So for that reason, Quiznos is going into the C tier. Next up, we do have McDonald's, and McDonald's is going to be an A-tier restaurant for me. It's just very solid, very available, which I value in terms of the ranking of this list. If it's not available everywhere, I feel like that might not be a detractor, but if it's available everywhere, then that's going to be a bonus in my book. But McDonald's is just, there's a reason why it's the #1 most recognizable brands, in the world. It's got good marketing. The food is good. It's iconic. But I'm a big fan of the McDonald's fries, the chicken nuggets. The burgers are good. Everything McDonald's does is solid. I can't say there's a menu item at McDonald's where I'm like, it's bad. McDonald's is an A tier, but it's not an S tier because they don't do anything great. They got a lot of good. So that's good for A tier. Long John Silver's, I don't know if it's just because I hate seafood, but I'm pretty sure like even people who like seafood think that Long John Silver's is shit. Long John Silver's mainly serves like fish and other seafood. And like whoever thought of a seafood fast food restaurant needs to like be fired. And I think they have been fired, considering Long John Silver's has been on a massive decline. I don't think there's many Long John Silver's restaurants around. It's just a bad concept, bad execution, and for that reason it's in the D tier. All right, next up we do have Noodles and Company. Now, Noodles and Company basically makes a bunch of like noodle dishes or whatever. So they got like spaghetti, they got mac and cheese, and they got like other noodle dishes as well. I haven't really ventured too much into the other noodle dishes, but I do like their mac and cheese. I think they got good mac and cheese. And then you can really customize at Noodles and Company, which is like something that I value a lot. They got good side dishes as well. I really like their garlic bread. So I'm a big fan of Noodles and Company. I'm going to put Noodles and Company into A tier. The only thing about Noodles and Company that's bad is that it is not ready to order. You do have to wait for them to make it. But I think that's a worthy price to pay for the fact that the food is very good. Next up, we do have Panda Express. And a lot of people like Panda Express, but again, this might just be a personal bias. I don't really like Chinese food, and one time I tried Panda Express, I did not like it. So that may just because I don't like Chinese food, which I will admit that is a gap in my culinary palate, but I'm not a big fan of Panda Express. I'm sure lots of other people like Panda Express. I have not liked it, and I've tried to like it, because a lot of people say good things about Panda Express, but it's just not for me. All right, next up we do have Panera. Panera for me is going to go into C tier. The thing about Panera is that the food quality is okay, and it's a good place to like just vibe in, because they got like free Wi-Fi and they got chairs and they got coffee. So it's a good place to vibe at. I've definitely vibed at a Panera Bread before, like, you know, while I was waiting for someone before. But the food quality is not very good in terms of like their actual food. They got like soups and sandwiches and stuff, and that stuff isn't very good. So I would put it in D tier because of that, but they got all right bagels. So for that reason, I'll put them in C tier and just the general ambiance, but the food is not very good. All right, next up we do have Papa John's. The Papa's going in B tier. I will say their cheese sticks are very good, and they used to be my favorite cheese bread out of all of like the different pizza restaurants until Domino's released their new cheesy bread, and I think this was in like 2015, whenever they did like a full revamp of their menu to like add more garlic to everything. But Papa John's used to be my favorite cheese stick, and I still like the Papa John's cheese sticks, but the pizza's not very good. I don't like their owner, so I don't know if that really should color your opinion of Papa John's, but you know, when literally the Papa's in the house, that was the whole marketing of Papa John's. I feel like that's got to impact your perception of the brand. It's like if Colonel Sanders, we found out, like murdered like 10 people, right? That's okay, maybe that may not be an equivalent, but I think the owner definitely impacts my opinion of the restaurant in this case. So for that reason, I'd say Papa John's is B. The pizza's solid, cheese bread is good, the owner is not good. All right, we only got a few more to go. Penn Station. Now, Penn Station, they do subs. They're kind of similar to Quiznos in that I think their shtick is they make toasted subs. I don't know. There's something about the Penn Station vibe that I really like, and I think it's just because, you know, it's supposed to be like an East Coast vibe inside the restaurant. But they got very good subs. I like their subs. They have fries, and if you sit in the restaurant and eat your fries, they have like malt vinegar that you can put on the fries, and that actually makes the fries taste like really good. So for that reason, I'm gonna put Penn Station in the B. It's very close to being an A, but I don't think I eat Penn Station enough to put it in A, but I really like Penn Station. Next up, we have Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is going to be a B tier. I can't justify putting Pizza Hut anything lower than like B tier. I can't justify putting Pizza Hut lower than Papa John's, because I feel like they're very similar quality. I think Pizza Hut on the whole is probably a bit better than Papa John's, but I think that the Papa John's cheese bread is like so much better than the Pizza Hut cheese bread. So Pizza Hut is just a solid option, but it's never going to be my first option when I'm thinking of pizza. Next up, we do have Roy Rogers. Now, Roy Rogers, I don't think it was a restaurant that used to be very popular in America, but it's taken a deep dive down the popularity chain. So much so that I think Roy Rogers is only existent in rest stops and like malls and stuff. They got all right quality burgers. Their main selling point at Roy Rogers is that they have a condiment bar where you can like self-serve, put the condiments in like condiments and like vegetables onto your burger. Which I think is pretty novel, but I don't think it's really that good of a selling point. So honestly, I'm going to put Roy Rogers in the D tier. Next up, similarly to Roy Rogers in that I think most of their locations are in malls, we do have Sbarro. The Sbarro pizza was a mainstay at the mall I used to go to as a kid. And the thing about Sbarro is they have it's supposed to be like New York style pizza. So the pizza slices were very huge. And they had like calzones and stuff. And the thing I remember about Sbarro is that it was very bland. It was like just very bland. But I mean, if you were going to the mall food court, you weren't expecting like good food, right? So it was the best out of the food court options. So I always went to Sbarro. So I have a lot of experience with Sbarro. But it's not very good food. So probably a C tier for me. All right, next up we do have Sheetz, and I'm going to rank Sheetz and Wawa at the same time because I feel like they're pretty similar in that Sheetz and Wawa are both gas stations. That might sound to you like a bad thing. Gas station food isn't supposed to be good, but there's a reason why they're on this list. In that they're both very good options. I'm going to say Sheetz and Wawa are both A tier. Now the thing about Sheetz and Wawa is that you go to a kiosk, right? And it's like an electronic screen or whatever. And you input, what you want from your food. And they have like burgers, they have chicken tenders, they have like subs, they have different side options and stuff. And you order all this food and then you pay for it at the kiosk, and then it'll give you a receipt and then with a number on it, and then they'll call your number and then you get your food and you leave. But it's surprisingly good quality for a gas station. It's cheap and it's really good food, honestly. It definitely competes at this A level. It's not just because of the price and convenience. So I'm a big fan of both of these. Next up, we have an Ohio entrant, Skyline Chili. I'm gonna say Skyline is an A tier for me, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Ohio person. Maybe it is. Skyline Chili is the kind of place you either love it or you hate it, and I think you'll understand where I'm coming from in terms of it's a love or hate when I describe to you probably their most iconic dish, which is what they call the three-way, which is you get a bowl of spaghetti and they put chili on top of it. And then they put cheddar cheese, and that's your three-way. That is the signature dish of Skyline Chili. And people will be like, what is that? Like, I have taken people not from Ohio to Skyline Chili, and they've been like, this is gross. This is disgusting. But you gotta love it, I feel like, in my opinion. But that's why it's a love or hate. It's a very divisive restaurant. But then they also have other items that you can get. You can get a hot dog, and then they put chili and cheese on it. And then you can also get like onions in your chili dish. And I think there's like one that's like a five-way. So they put onions, and then I don't know what else they put in there. They put something else to make it a five-way. But yeah, it's really good to me, but I can understand if you don't fuck with it. It's a very polarizing restaurant, but for me as an Ohio boy, I gotta put it in A tier. Next up, we have Sonic, which is all right. It's solid. Sonic's big thing is that it's a drive-in restaurant. So like you'll park your car and they'll have a menu on the side, and then you look at the menu and then you talk into a kiosk or whatever. And then they bring the food to your car. I think some of the Sonics, like they have people on like roller skates bring out like the food to your car. The food is solid. It's not like mind-blowing, but you're going more for the experience of having the drive-in restaurant experience. And similarly, Swenson's is very similar to Sonic in the drive-in restaurant, except they have food that's on quality to Five Guys. But it is as expensive as Five Guys. It might be a little bit worse than Five Guys, but For me, Swenson's is an A-tier restaurant just because of the price, and it's a little bit worse than Five Guys. But it's giving you a similar experience to Sonic. So my thing is, if you're going to go to Sonic, you should go to Swenson's instead. But Swenson's isn't as nationally prominent restaurant as Sonic is, I don't think. Next, we have Steak and Shake, which is a solid restaurant. I believe Steak and Shake is 24 hours. So I remember as a kid, when I was in like high school, if I was like on a Friday night, you know, I was like, we were out at like 12 o'clock, you know, at midnight. I feel like we would always go to Steak and Shake. So I have good memories of Steak and Shake. The food's all right. It's solid, but they got just got standard food. They got burgers, chicken tenders, fries. And then they also have milkshakes, which are very good. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's solid, but it's, you know, it's not nothing. It's not anything earth-shattering. Taco Bell, I don't think I really need to justify this decision. It's S tier for me. It's just convenient, cheap, filling. You can get a lot of food for a very small price, and I value that. Also, they have Baja Blast, so that's immediately higher ranking in my book. So Taco Bell, definite S tier on this list. It's one of my favorite restaurants. Then we do have Wendy's. Wendy's is an A tier restaurant, but because they are based in Ohio, I believe in Columbus, I'm going to put them in S tier. Very solid restaurant. The burgers are good. The fries are really good. They got good chicken nuggets, and the Frosties, their ice cream, it's kind of like a milkshake. I really like the Frosty. So for all those reasons, Wendy's is in the S tier for me. Next up, we have White Castle, and White Castle is known for being very cheap. You can get, and having like these little slider style burgers. It's very unique in terms of their form factor, in terms of their offering as a restaurant. So I really like the White Castle burgers. You know, White Castle is a restaurant, again, you either love or you hate. I'd say White Castle is like a little bit worse version of Taco Bell for burgers, if I had to explain it. And then they got other stuff as well, but like you can get like 30 hamburgers for like $10. They're like slider style burgers, but they're still very good. So it's not earth shattering, but I'm gonna put it in the B tier. And then last but not least, we have Wingstop. I can't say that I have too strong of an opinion on Wingstop. I've only had it like once. I felt like it was pretty expensive for what it is. For the quality, I feel like the quality didn't really match the pricing for me. So I'm gonna put Wingstop in the C tier. I feel like I should probably give Wingstop another chance. So perhaps I will in the future. But for me at the moment, it is a C tier. All right. So here we go. Here is one final look at the tier list. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy the video, drop a like and leave a comment on what your thoughts on the list were and maybe what your favorite fast food restaurant is. Again, thanks for watching and be sure to stay safe.